to something we previously discussed concerning Nikola Jokic. The man had a big game last night, put up a 49-point triple double on a night where a lot of players put up a lot of good things. We had game winners. We had 29-second 50 points. We got a 49-point triple double. We spoke about MVP and what his role to the team means about it yesterday. How do you think this looks about more towards what we said yesterday about his role and him having an MVP caliber game, just him putting up good numbers? What do you think?
So addressing MVP, the most valuable player, when you are putting up a 49-point triple-double on paper, that looks like everything you could have possibly asked for. When you dive into context a little bit, we have to see the fact that you're playing a weakened roster as well. So the excuses about Denver being shallow or not having the depth at this time, that's out the window because you're playing the Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi out of here. Reggie Jackson is now their best player. You got a 49-point triple-double, and you gave up 32 to Zubac, of all people. So you're not doing your job on the defensive side of the ball. And when they're at that, it's can you be the MVP when your impact is not the same offensively and defensively? Now, look, I understand everyone's argument about Nikola Jokic and how much more effective the offense is when he's on the court. It's probably the largest differential that's existed in NBA history. That does not speak to what they're doing defensively. And when he's consistently playing outside of the paint, he's hurting the offensive rebounding chances. He's hurting, slowing the pace down, and he's putting that team in a tough position. We should not be going to overtime with Zubac and Reggie Jackson is the first point. Now, I did want to reference the incredible play because that pass out of the double team in order to get the game winner was ridiculous. It's a pass that very few people can make. I think maybe, LeBron, and then you have to go to like Larry Bird.
You got to be above about 6'8". So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah. Level to that I understand his talent. But when you have a player like that and you're not complimenting him with a rim protector, it's only going to hurt your team in the long term. So to me, it kind of feels empty, although it came out in a W. It's different from what Embiid does because Embiid is down there. Embiid is getting bullied and he's doing it early. These games are getting closed out in 3 quarters when Embiid goes for 50, 49, right? That was the big deal. He had the 27, 29
What do we
minutes.
call it? Meaningful buckets.
Meaningful buckets. Absolutely. And so when you have the pairing of Jokic and Aaron Gordon, I don't think that that's going to be effective. And there's no excuses there. We don't really care that Michael Porter and Jamal Murray are out. That doesn't affect what's going on in the front court. That wouldn't prevent what's happening in the paint right now to this team. And you're giving up 30 to Zubac.
Mm-hmm. And I have to agree with that. That's a very, very big point. Even if the game was still this close, but if you were to tell me that the point guard and the shooting guard put up 25, 30 apiece and they were shooting from 3, I'd be like, well, my man did everything he could. But it's not the case. That's not the case. You're getting banged on down there like a child, just like Anthony Davis did to him in the finals in the bubble, right? The Nuggets, that was their year to win it. I don't know if they have it anymore. And you gave it up because Jokic could not guard Anthony Davis. He gave him buckets, right? Do we think we're going to see them in the finals anytime soon? They have health problems, you can't play defense in the paint. And it's a weird basketball we're talking about here now, right? Basketball's gotten a little bit different because there was one day, now I want to say about 3 years ago, we was like, man, you can't shoot that 3 like crazy. Good luck. If you can't put up this bucket, good luck. Now we're saying if that big fella can't get down there and bang, you don't got somebody who's getting down there and getting busy in the paint, it's not going to work for you. But it's not all offensively. If they are letting people get to the rim untouched, what are you doing? Zubac has never been that guy. My man shot 11 for 14. What?
It's disgusting.
Yeah, but I want to make sure I got that right because it might have been worse. But that's disgusting.
Check that real quick. We want to find out the exact stats.
I want to verify this because
19 or something really poor.
And I just want to say a lot of people aren't going to be happy with this. I know we had a couple people watch and they felt that we weren't giving him a fair look, but no, not Zubac.
Right. It cannot be one-sided.
Oh, my bad. I stand corrected. 15 for 19.
Yeah.
What? Who's him? That at this point, that means he's looking unguarded. That man looks like me on NBA 2K. And So like you said, yeah, that like all those stats are cool, but what does it turn into? You beat the beat down Clippers by 2.
Yeah, what is the cost for everything
Yeah.
that Jokic
You're
can
not
create?
willing, like there's other pieces. I think there's something missing in his defense. Like you get all that's great, but if you're giving up the points that are causing the other team to take you to OT.
Yeah. One thing that's very interesting about Jokic is that the game 7 where they go win against the Lakers and that whole playoff run, it kind of reminds me of early 2000s Chris Webber,
Mm-hmm.
where it was their year, it was their time. And we had the admission from the refs that they cheated and that kind of thing happened. And the Lakers ended up defeating the Kings and then subsequently beating Jason Kidd, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that year, if Chris Webber would have been trying to play center, they're not going anywhere.
No.
The whole point of why he was able to work and be the mobile big that's a great passer that creates these mismatch problems is because of Vladi.
Mm-hmm.
And with Jokic, that probably style of player is not going to be a 5 because of
Mm-hmm.
how the league has evolved in terms of the 3. That player is going to have to be a 4. So you thought that you got Aaron Gordon to cover down and defend the rim, but Aaron Gordon is not Giannis.
He's not a
Aaron
5.
Gordon is
Yeah.
not a 4 that you can rely on. This is not even
At
prime
this
Serge
point, he ain't
Ibaka.
even a KD. I mean, KD can defend down there at the 4 pretty well, but you just not you don't have a body for that. You got a man who would be a great power forward getting a lot of buckets at center.
Right.
But the
And if
problem
we
now is you put him at power forward, he's still a defensive liability there because he's too slow. Guys gonna be taking this man off the dribble nonstop. Pick
one
and
thing
roll
I will
switches.
give Jokic is that he's much better as a pick and roll defender than he's given credit for, although he's slow.
Yeah.
Much better as a pick and roll defender. And I think it's because he has awkward movements and awkward pacing, and you don't really know when he's feinting and not. So whenever he lunges, you're uncertain of if is he going backwards or is he going forward.
Like they
He's
could benefit
perfect.
from a Clint Capella. Like it don't even got to be a
Oh,
7-footer. It doesn't have to be a 7-footer. Just a grimy guy that's gonna get down there and play the center and get blocks and be there. And he could get bored still. Jokic still gonna get some rebounds based off the way he's playing because if the ball's going up, center's over here, he's going for the block. You're here for the next set. But like you said before, this is one of those things with the meaningfulness of the game and the in between pieces and the highlights. We highlighted it, but on the same night, we got Joel Embiid giving you 50 in 29 minutes
in a victory.
and a victory. But it wasn't a victory in OT to the Clippers. It was a victory.
Yep. Then we
So,
also have Giannis taking it to John Morant. So he's
yep.
facing Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson. He's having to do it inside as
Mhm.
well. And
And these are all conversations we had last night. Like,
Mhm.
mind you, yes, it's the Orlando Magic that they beat, but they beat them. They didn't slide by. And Orlando has centers. They got people who are out there really that can try to get at Embiid. You got Mo Bamba. You've got guys out there. They're not going to stop them, but they have bodies.
yeah,
But
Robin Lopez there, he was getting washed, bro.
washed. I mean, I've not seen a person stop him. And if Embiid's missing in the paint, he's just missing.
Yeah, I don't think
And
he
that's
can.
and I love the 3 and all that, but that's where I like my center, man. That's where I like my big
Mhm.
in the paint.
One thing that we talk about in football is that when you try to set the tone, even if we're a great passing team, we need to set the tone for the offensive line by running the football. We
Mhm.
need to force you to be physical, provide that physicality, make the defense feel us, and then energize yourself, galvanize as a unit because we're big and physical. When I'm asking my big men not to roam in the paint, not to defend and get boards, not to be deep down there and attempting to block shots because everything is consideration of spacing, then there's a defensive intensity factor that you don't acquire. So it's almost like they're lulled to sleep by their own scheme.
Mhm.
And
Like
that's
I
what it looks
wanna,
like for the Nuggets pretty
yeah,
frequently, in my
and
opinion.
and that's what it all comes down to is it's gonna keep coming back to this MVP conversation, but I just want to list something off real quick just to give perspective when we talk about meaningful. McKenzie, Vukovic, Kobe White, Dosamusu, Hill, Brown Jr., Bradley. Do any of those names ring bells to you? Do they ring
Not
bells
a
to
star,
you? The
not
only
a
one that
star.
I'm about to say is his name is DeMar DeRozan, as we said last night. In a
Mm.
closeout victory, it meaningful buckets against a much better Cleveland team than we're seeing from the Clippers right now.
Absolutely.
And yes, he scored 30, but the buzzer beater was clutch. That he we don't talk about that, but he scored 30. It wasn't a 49-point triple double, but they meant something.
And there was no excuses of not having Levine, not having Lonzo,
Yes.
not having Patrick Williams. That's 3 starters, and
Yes.
that was never brought up at all. It was
Yes.
just DeRozan needs to go out here and will us to victory,
Make it
and he
happen.
did.
Yep. And that comes in the form of assist, good defense, hard play. Giannis goes out there, gets him one yesterday. Assist, good defense, hard play. But if you can't get it done defensively, we can't have guys like Zubac putting 32 on you.
No,
And
and
that's not my MVP, man. I'm sorry.
it
That's not
can't
my
be.
MVP.
And I want to address, 2 more things. One is that, the big argument for Jokic's player efficiency rating.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about your efficiency when that doesn't take defense into account.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot dwell on how efficient you are on offense and discount an entire other side of the ball. I remember we chastised James Harden for 10 years for this.
But we're letting it go because of Jokic.
But he was a guard.
Mm-hmm.
So now I cannot have my big man not be a primary defender. That's not going to win a championship in any era at any time.
Any era, any time, no matter where. Even with Chris Bosh at the center, Bosh was a shot blocker. He was a body downer, and he was getting the job done.
So that's why I believe it's tough. And then if you want to give him credit for the amazing offensive output, the NBA has already voted for Jokic to be MVP last year. They're not going to give you back-to-back MVPs for accomplishing the exact same thing. As much as you want to say, look at this wild efficiency. Yes, but if it was at that point, you guys wouldn't be 500 basketballs.
And then we're taking into account, too, he put up 49. He had an extra quarter to do it against the Clippers. Against the
extra
Clippers.
5 minutes, but yeah,
you got an extra 5 minutes to put something together. And with the, they obviously he's getting the looks, but it's meaningless. It doesn't make me feel like when we talk about even the greats, we talk about MVPs like Kobe, Jordan, Dwayne Wade's, and like a lot of these guys, they were two-way players.
Yeah, two-way players. And another thing is they don't have precise fit necessity, right? Yeah. If Jokic does not have the right forward next to him, they cannot win.
Yes.
Simple as that. And when you have other superstars, they don't come with those same qualifiers or saying, oh, if this, then that.
It's just conversation. We've seen Damian Lillard keep his team and will them to low 8 seed movements in the playoffs for many a year. Were we giving Damian Lillard the MVP? No, he wasn't converting to big wins. Mm-hmm. Same with Jokic. We can't just give you something because it looks cool. It's not equating to anything. It's pointless. If that's the case, it's like you said, if you require somebody, Giannis could still take that. Like we said yesterday, Giannis could still take that Bucks team, and he's going to be Giannis, but he's going to do it on both sides of the floor. It's going to open things up. LeBron James, when he plays, he opens things up. He's going to try to get it on both sides. He's not always been the greatest on-ball guy, but he's going to give you some effort. You just can't go out there and only play offense.
Simple. Not at all. And I think I had to put that staple down there right now. Joel Embiid is the best big man in the league.
He's the best big man.
If we're counting Giannis, right?
Yeah. If I'm counting centers, I'd say best center in the league.
Okay, fair enough. Best center is absolutely Embiid, and I think that may be a little bit, counterculture to what we're getting from the sports writers and some of our people in the comments that are huge Jokic fans. We understand, but when you're that type of player that requires so much in order to propel yourself to a champion, we can't put you in the same category because we didn't do it for Lillard.
Nope.
We didn't do it for Harden.
Nope.
We didn't do it for Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. And at this time, the injuries to Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., yes, they should be the difference between you competing for a championship, not beating the Clippers in overtime.
I think that's a great way to end it. And that's how you say it.